it's not the feet. My veins start to creepify. My body feels it, petrified. Oh, the chaos has its place. The spinning takes its place. My mind begins to race. Recognize my face. Talking by myself. I don't need no help. The chaos takes its place. Recognize my face.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kristen Manners, and I want to thank you for joining us again for another edition of Targeted. I'm here with my co-host V, and we have what I consider to be a very special guest with us today. He is from Germany, and we don't get an opportunity very often to interview people from other countries. And Martin is actually from Germany, and that is really an opportunity for us at Targeted because we get to interview a lot of people from the United States, and we know that the story is pretty much the same from individual to individual. But one of the points that I have personally made over and over and over again, I've been told be this, and even our guest Martin is probably going to agree because he's probably done more than just had knowledge about targeted individuals in Germany, but in the United States. How could it possibly be that the same people from California, Germany, I mean, all these people have the same exact story about how their game stopped, how they have B2K, how they have all these similarities from different countries, United States, you know, the UK. Every single one of them can tell the same exact story from start to finish, but supposedly they're all crazy. You know, those are some pretty talented people, is my point. So, with all that said, I want to introduce Martin Bott and let him tell his story. And it is very much a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's actually I'm convinced that the whole gang stalking stuff began in Germany before World War One, because I had some clues in the literature,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
after World War One, they extended this to get the new state going, to get all the other people under the connected to the state. Right, you get a fascist system where everyone is part of the state. That was the idea of the Nazis, or of the old state actually, which created then the Nazi system. And after 1945, Germany expanded to other countries. And my aunt actually was used to promote the system in Italy in 1958. She got open persecution there for about 6 weeks, and the police went on the other side of the street to watch this. And so actually it's pretty sure that it originated here in Germany. And Germany got the idea, developed the system, and then they promoted it in other countries. And this allows Germany today to get a lot of influence in other countries, right? Because they train the people, they get into contact with the state, with the police, with the secret services. So the Germans have their fingers everywhere.
Yes. I saw your website. I saw your website, Martin. It's very impressive. But I saw that you have a lot of information on your website about that seems to be a big interest of yours. Do you want to talk about a little bit about that?
About the internet site? Well, yeah, it's in German. That's the problem. I've got one English text on the top left corner. You can find it maybe by Googling. It's is about 100 pages, and it has actually the state-of-the-art technology that is being used by surveillance, office of surveillance, and torture, which is actually they're using today. They're using laser. They're no longer using microwaves. So technology is a bit different as what it's promoted on the internet by many people.
Well, if you go through your website, you are quite, I mean, you are really studied. You are very knowledgeable in.
Well, I was actually going to get into that. And the reason why Martin Bott is such a great interest for this show is because he is a bit of a historian, as we can all tell how he came out explaining things. He is also an activist. I believe you have been to Geneva with this information on all over Europe. And lastly, you have been affected. Your family has been affected. I believe you even lost a brother. And you've written a wonderful book on telling your story. I would like for you to touch on all these points.
Yeah, actually, it's more a technical book, which is based on my internet site. I've got a German version, which is 600 pages or more, and then I've got this English short version, which is titled "Torture, Brainwashing, and Murder in Germany." And if you Google it, you will find it as a PDF on the internet somewhere. Torture, Brainwashing, and Murder in Germany. That's the title of the English text. And there's all the technological, the modern technology in it, how the surveillance is being done with laser technology, how you shoot a laser through a wall by mixing the signals to get a low frequency beat, which is not affected by the wall. The same is for torture technology. You just shoot through the wall with a laser, right? Because what you do is you create, beats, low frequency beats from sound, from music. Right? You mix two high frequency signals and then you get a low frequency beat, which is basic physics. And you can do this with all waves. You can do it with light waves, with microwaves, with everything. And if you have this low frequency electromagnetic wave, it is not influenced by a wall or by metal shielding. It goes just through. So that makes it very difficult to shield the radiation.
You know, one of the hot topics for me here lately, well, it is all the time, but I want to kind of get your take on it as well. Is what we have been calling new prison system for TI, which is the psychiatric community and mental hospitals. I saw a link on your website along those lines. What is your take on that? Well, how do you feel about that?
I didn't understand it.
The psychiatric community and the TI community. Well,
yeah,
how do you that?
That's part of the system. I found offers from shrinks from German psychiatrists from 1945, 46, and he offered the Nazis to let victims of the Third Reich persecution disappear in the nut houses. Right, in a story, a bit concealed in the story of psychiatric cases, but essentially the idea is to let these people who had survived the Nazi system disappear in the nut house and kill them with drugs or electroshocks. And that's what we experience today. It's exactly the same system, which was offered in 1946 under the eyes of the Americans and the English and the French and the Russians, and they didn't understand what was going on here in Germany. Germany just continued. And the Allies didn't understand what was happening. And the Germans were making jokes of the Americans that they were not able to understand.
The similarities are uncanny. They really are. I've used the terminology of what you're talking about many times, trying to explain this particular type of warfare to many targeted individuals, but they can't seem to relate to the concept. And it's like, the only difference between what was happening then and what is happening now is the massive use of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Is about the only difference.
Well, yeah, and I just to tie both in together and to tie what Martin has revealed to us. There are lots of companies, big pharma companies that got their start in Nazi Germany, or at least right before, these companies did lots of experimentations and actually helped with the Nazi Germans to do these experimentations, and this is where the CIA got their MK Ultra from. Okay, it's just a lot of psychoactive drugs, and this is why Big Pharma is so huge in America. I mean,
Absolutely.
you got your whistleblowers, you've got anyone who wants to say that they've been victimized by the government. Oh, they're thrown into the nut house, and there you are with Big Pharma. They've got to inject you with drugs and dope you up. The experimentation, the mind control, still going on. It's just moved from Germany to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like I was saying today. There's a way for you to technically control the problem of opioid addiction very easily. But why would they want to do that? It would put the pharmaceutical companies out of business, pain management companies out of business, ERs out of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, rehab companies. They do that. It would be very simple to control the opioid, consumption in this country, but they're not going to do that. Same principle. Same principle.
Yeah.
You know, you can only control what people will allow you to control. You really have to be commended for everything that you've done, because for as long as you've been targeted, you just keep on pressing on. You do so much work, and you are definitely to be thanked for that. I want to very much. Is there anything you'd like to add? Is there anything else you'd like people to know?
Yeah, well, I can tell a bit about the history of the technology, because it's more than 200 years of history by now. I've got some videos on YouTube, and one shows the experiment of Luigi Galvani in 1789, and he used high frequency radiation, actually, which he produced by sparking, and he was able to steer the muscles of a frog. That was more than 220 years ago, 225 years ago, in 1789. That was, back then, it was already known that you have the possibility to influence the body, the nerves, with electromagnetic waves, even if one was not aware of what was actually behind the whole system, but one was able to demonstrate the principle. And shortly after, in 1810 maybe, this went quite viral, and they had someone in England disappear in a nut house because he reported about this, that there was a possibility to steer people with a large apparatus, heirloom, we call it the heirloom, and but if he calls it heirloom, this explains how it works. So you have the possibility to steer light with air pressure. Right? The more air pressure and there is in a tube, maybe, and you pass the light through, and if you increase the air pressure, the light slows down. So actually, you can modulate the frequency, and you can modulate the phase of the wave, and this allows to produce a directed energy weapon with the technology of 1810. If you take a large oven, produce infrared radiation, and you split up one beam. One goes through a tube which is connected to a pump, which increases and decreases the pressure of the air, and the other part goes next to the it's not modulated in the frequency or in the phase shift, and then you mix the signals and you get the low frequency beat, which produces low frequency counts in the body, and then you have an effect. And that's technology that is 200 years old.
Can I ask you personally, Martin, can I just ask you on a personal note, what is your educational background?
Yeah, I'm trying to survive. I was always interested in technology, so I'm very well informed about all these physics.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's apparent. I mean, you sound like
Yes.
you are highly
So
educated, and you have
if,
to be
if, if,
for
if I
that.
read if I read scientific texts about technology, I can understand it, and not many
Very,
people can
that's very
do it.
good. We need you
Well,
here.
yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, everyone needs to become researchers. Research. That's
Mm,
why I'm here today.
mm.
That's why
So
I'm still
actually,
alive.
I can tell you, I know everything about the technology. I found everything. I'm researching for 20 years since actually, well, the end of 1999. It's more than 20 years, and I actually found almost everything here in Germany. I can show you one book. Wait a second. Lehrbuch der Kristalloptik. It's called.
This is
And
your
and
book that's just
while
online.
you're doing that, Martin, while you're getting that out and explaining, I hear you're politically active as well.
Yeah, well, that's one has to change it politically, actually. True.
Well,
But
can you
this,
tell us about that as well?
pardon? About
Your experience with Geneva Convention to be specific, because you have had information. You have given us information. Director of the show has information about your work and you talking to the Geneva Convention. Now, this is very important for us to understand your experience with the Geneva Convention, because these are the very people that are supposed to watch and regulate this.
Yeah, but Germany is also there. I've been in Geneva. I've talked to some of the functionaries there, and I think there were a lot of Germans I talked to, or they kicked away all the others. They had to disappear, and I spoke to Germans. I also called Amnesty International in Australia. I got someone, a Turkish girl, I think, and she had lived before in Cologne in Germany. So if I approach an international organization, I always end up with the Germans. If I demand someone from the country, and I'm not allowed to talk to them. I always get the Germans in this country, and the same in
Wow.
Geneva. Yeah, because they're everywhere. I was in a police station here in Europe, in a big country, in 1999, 30 years ago, and there were about 100,000 people in this town. And someone told me he had murdered his best friend. I said, well, that's fake, okay, but I have to report it to the police. So I went to the police and told them someone reported that he murdered his best friend, but I'm sure it's only fake, but I have to report it, so I'm here. And at that time, I already knew I was being persecuted. It was quite open. And the police knew that I knew, and everyone knew that I knew, and so on. And so we made a sort of role play out of it. And then the police actually they found a room on this large police building with two computers, or with a computer, and then we had two who were local police from this country, but actually they were German officials because they wrote down the whole what I said, and it was still how German police or German functionaries write their files. Right? They have all the distinct methods of making their files, every country. Administration has a long tradition in every country in Europe. So you can say that was written by a French official, that was written by an English official, or an Italian official, and this was a German official in another country, posing as a local policeman.
Wow.
So, and about 4 weeks later, my brother recognized two of these guys in Karlsruhe, 25 kilometers from here in the bigger town. And I had a scar in the face, one of them, and so on. And he started to talk to, reporting how he about this guy he met, was two guys. And I said, stop, I tell you how he looks. And then I described this guy I met 1,000 kilometers away outside of Germany. And my brother said, well, exactly this guy. That's the guy I've seen.
Well, that's some new world order operatives right there. I mean, I know these people.
Germany is at the center of all of this. They're doing whatever they want. I work in a police station in another country. A German official is posing as a local police. They're wearing pistols. They're doing everything. They're in command. In another country, I had broken my arm, and I drove my car on a dirt track and I got stuck and I had to get it out and I broke part of the arm. It wasn't a big deal, but I had to stay there for 4 or 5 weeks. And obviously I was under surveillance then. And obviously the German Secret Service they used brainwashing technology to get me on the car, drive down the dirt track to the main road, then over a bridge. On the other side was a river, over a river. On the other side was another dirt track. I went down this dirt track, and at the end of the dirt track there was a sand pit, and there was someone, a young man, standing there with a piece of paper and a ball pen. And he told me that he was writing down all the trucks taking sand from there. And the whole 4 weeks I've been there, I've never seen a truck. So the case was, this guy was a local Secret Service guy, and he was looking what was happening there. And the Germans sent me behind him to chase him away with their brainwashing technology. They moved into a town, they're doing whatever they want, the Germans. I've seen this so often. And the law.
It's the persecution of, and that's the whole reason why I'm bringing up the Geneva Convention. And with dark energy weapons and things like that, it's actually stated that exotic weapons, Germans can't use certain technologies or weaponry against another people in another country.
Yeah.
Every TI story, every TI story is that my own government is doing this to me. So actually, the big loophole here is that, the New World Order is here, and you're being persecuted by the unseen enemy, but it's being done through your own government.
One of my major points with this whole thing is that these individuals have no rules.
Yeah. No, actually not. But they have to stick to certain rules. If you're a German Secret Service in another country, you can't talk openly to the local authorities. You have to lie. You have to lie. You have to get them tricked into helping you.
No, I'm saying that those people that target individuals, the ones doing it, they don't have any rules. They follow no rules. They do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, but there are limits. There are limits. If they kill me, everyone will know that I was murdered by the German Secret Service, which is the Bundesnachrichtendienst, the old Gestapo. So,
you know what? I will completely agree with you on that note, sir. You are exactly right. The one thing that they do not want is they do not want in spotlight.
yes,
They do not want any fingers pointing to anything that is their direction. You are exactly right on that. Yes, you are.
And I've never been in the United States, and I think would be very interesting for me to see the German influence and how it's different and what is the same like here in Germany. Because it must be different. It's a large country which can't be under complete surveillance like here, and the Americans are different than the Germans. They wouldn't collaborate all with the state. In Germany, everyone is raised in the delusion of being the state. Right? Either you are the state or you get bumped off by the state.
Well, I can tell you my own personal experience being having traveled to different countries. I'm here in Poland currently, and looking at America and then looking at, let's say, World War II documentaries or even made up movies, the mindset between both places is completely different. For example, I've talked to a police officer here. The very rare few times I've seen a police officer here in Poland, this guy was in uniform. He was a sergeant. He had a mohawk haircut, smoking a cigarette, just chilling, hanging out, not bothering anybody. Now, back in America, with me, it was just me just being hanging around just anywhere, if I'm out in public, I'm stalked by 5, 6, 7 police cars.
Mm.
All these guys, they're black shades, like they're all Secret Service, like they're all the Terminator. Um, with the flat top military haircut or shaven bald.
Mm.
I'm thinking the United States looks more like Nazi Germany than Nazi Germany did.
I was going to say that first description you just gave doesn't sound like anybody I've ever seen with the popo here in Castle Rock, Colorado. No. Now that second one, boys all over the place. Black tops, nasty. I mean, the second one was right on the money. The first one, I haven't seen one of those boys since I was this tall. The one we're talking about. The first description was what I grew up with. The ones you're talking about, the second one, is what we have now. The ones you can't trust. That was the one that was at my door today again. And you're like, you're not even a police officer anymore. You're not what I grew up with. You're not. You are exactly right.
Where are you in Poland then? Which country? Which town?
Wroclaw.
Wroclaw. Oh, that's former Germany. So
actually, yes, this was supposed to be the capital of the new German Reich and all that.
Let's not always say.
Well, the influence here, I think, is more Russian, maybe Jewish. To me, it feels. I don't feel any of that old Nazi hatred. I feel more loved here in this country than I did.
Yeah, and everyone is blaming the Poles for being racist. That's so stupid. And they are not, obviously.
That was good. That was a good one. You're a funny guy, Martin.
But I'm thinking, I would like to travel around some more. I still got to deal with the government here, as I'm pretty sure in every country that I go to. I currently cannot leave Poland right now, as they have been dragging their feet on my citizenship for a year now. It's a process that takes 3 months. They've been dragging their feet on my citizenship now for 8 months to a year, and their time is going to be 10 more months. They know I need to travel around. I need to do my documentaries. I need to interview TIs such as yourself. And because if I leave the country without my citizenship, I can't get back in because I'm illegal. So, but I'm thinking we have stop set here. I mean, there are targeted individuals here. There's stop set. I believe there's a German form, and there's Switzerland, and there's different forms of TI organizations out there. I would like to get us all together, all working together. It just seems that the cohesiveness is just not there. I will say there's a little bit of racism I did experience was from another target individual. It's like,
nah, it's
you be targeted for something for some reason. That are you targeted because you're an asshole or what's going on there?
You know what? That's everywhere though. I don't care now. I don't care now if you're white, if you're African American, if you're Hispanic. I even got some of that because of my grandchildren and my own children. I mean, it's everywhere. People are just like that now. That's just how they are. That's just how it is.
We have one big problem, and that is no country is happy with foreign targeted individuals fleeing to their territory. Right? No country wants the thieves into their country and the spies behind them. That's a big security issue. So if I go to another country, it's always the problem how to make not too much problem for the local authorities. And that's the same for you if you come to Europe. If you can travel, and every country has another tradition. We had the large power vacuum in Eastern Europe or Central Europe after 1989, and the Germans rushed in, but of course they couldn't get a grip of the whole society. So that's really very different in every country, especially here in Europe. And
I can definitely qualify that.
yes.
The United States. Okay, and being at the airport after buying my ticket a month in advance, I've got the people at the airport telling me, "Oh, you need a work visa to visit Poland." I don't. I missed my flight because they wanted to argue this fact. Um, had police try to profile me and tell me I left an abandoned vehicle somewhere, or I did commit this crime and that crime. 3 different times I had to tell them who I was. I'm with media, I have my own media, and I'll expose you. As I'm recording you right now, they went away, and then I, baggage people are just looking at me like I'm Neo walking through the federal building because I have computer on top of computer on top of computer in my bags, and trying to stop me and question me. It was hell trying to get out of the United States to get to Europe. So
because they know you can escape, and they tell everyone otherwise. They tell you will be persecuted and in the middle of nowhere in Australia in the outback or South Pole, wherever you turn up, they will hit you by satellite or with whatever technology. And that's not true. That's just not true. Right? You can escape, and depending on the country, it can be just walking around the corner of a stone, of a boulder. You take cover behind a boulder. I had this in other European countries. They made a whistling tone in my ear. Do you know this high-pitched tone? And I just walked around the corner and it was gone. And they couldn't hit me.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a game. I show them they can. They want to prove that they can, and I show them they can't.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. A lot of it is mental strength.
But it doesn't work in Germany because Germany is under complete surveillance. They have the torture technology everywhere. It's installed all over the country. They just have to push the button somewhere and they hit you. And then they have aircrafts which are provided with radar and laser technology, right? And they can hit you everywhere. They're shutting down. They're closing all tunnels, all deep basement, all bunkers. Everything is restricted to Germany, and that's not the case in other countries. If you go to Spain, you can visit old coal mines, from Roman times, the mining systems, and you can escape. You can just go underground and you're gone. And in Germany, they close off everything. There was a tunnel here near Stuttgart. They filled the whole tunnel with earth, just to prevent that someone takes cover underground.
Now, I'm glad you said that. I've had a couple individuals here in Poland tell me that Hitler has, in the city, has some old B2K bunkers, like made of tungsten and all sorts of weird metals. B2K bunkers. Now, can you being the historian that you are, can you tell me anything about that?
No, there is no such thing. It's you have to understand the technology, and if you understand the technology, you can say what shields it, right? And or partial shielding maybe. You can shoot with I've seen a radar picture taken from a helicopter through Arctic ice. We went 100 meters through the ice, and you could see the boulders on the ground of the ice. So that gives you an idea what's possible. But the resolution is right course if it's deeper underground. So you don't get a real shielding, but they can't see everything. And they may not hit you as a first, but they may be able to hit a whole group or an area of 10 meter diameter. Where if you're overground, they can write a picture on your retina because it's such a high resolution. Right.
Well, I really wish they would use this technology. If somebody decent in one of these New World Order governments use technology and catch these underground child trafficking operations, that would be great. But
Yeah.
that's
That's,
all
that's
I've got.
also the that's also the secret services. They get people under they provide children and then they blackmail them. That was the Germans. They made this with Switzerland. They blackmailed people working in the banks to get information about German bank accounts in Switzerland. And they used children
Well, you know,
to blackmail.
I can't, there's no way that I can even tell you, Martin, how glad I am that I was able to get a hold of you. You have been more than a knowledgeable guest, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on our show today. And I hope that you will keep us updated on anything new that you've come across. Thank you very much for joining us on Targeted.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yes,
Good night. This has been another episode of Targeted. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm here with my co-host V. Thank you very much.